Now I'm going to hit this API, right? So I just added user 8083 and API name is this one, is this API name slash path category. What is the category? You can go here, click database, browse collection, and then for example go to product database, product collection, take one category and we can check that, right? Category, let's say woman category. You copy woman, right? Let's say take woman, enter woman, type woman. Okay, this is the URL. If you give here, yeah, now there is some error, delete is not supported because it should be get method, and remove this string is not required. Okay, now calling this, yeah, it's working. See, these are the products are coming, women's category, these many products are there. If you giving in browser, get method will work in browser also. If you do browser, enter, it will see these many products are there. If you want to align this is a JSON structure. This is called a JSON structure. String, this is string JSON structure. You can format it, JSON online. If you give like this, you can go here, JSON formatter is there. You can, if you copy here, this will give the JSON structure. This is the JSON. See, product ID and product name, product name description. So product name description. So like this it will come. See, I think we will go to different one. This is a lot of ad is there. I'm going to here. Yeah, this is good, I guess. Yeah. Now transform. See, this is what it will looks like. See, this is a JSON structure. We can see woman's product. These many products are there. Preview original. See, this will give JSON structure like this. You can see this is called the JSON structure, right? Now it's working. Our producer microservice is working. It's fetching the data and working. So now we build a producer microservice successfully. So what it will do, we will first go to the Atlas database and then create a collection. First create a cluster and then database, and then add the collection value, and then go to consumer microservice, producer microservice we created. With these are the dependencies are required. Once you added, then taking the connection property from MongoDB. I said, right, how to take the connection property, database connections, connect, and whichever driver you want, you can use Java or Node.js, which one, you'll get the URL. Last, at the end of this slash, we have to add the database name. That's it, right? So this is the way we need to do. In the application.property file, you need to connect, and then so this is the way we need to build a producer microservice, and we will get the response, right? So now we have completed the producer microservice. Now our consumer microservice, this microservice is going to call the producer microservice and get these results, whatever results written, right? This result, and then render into UI, consumer UI. So let's say this is a consumer microservice, right? I'm just starting the consumer microservice. For example, I'm starting consumer microservice as well. So now consumer microservice, we've seen that earlier version, right? How you can 8081. Now go here, 8081 http localhost 8081. If you type 8081, this will return the see, these are the UI it is returning. See, feature products and recent products are coming empty. After integrating this producer microservice, we can see the future products data and recent products data, right? Which producer microservice will return. So we are going to see that one, right? How we can integrate in consumer microservice. Hi, now we are seeing the consumer microservice. Feature products are empty, recent products, there are no recent products, right? So these two fragments empty, the data are empty. Now we are going to get the data from producer microservice, which will return the product data based on the feature category, recent category products, it will return, right? right? That's what I'm going to do. So first what I'm going to do is, first I will going to write a changes into dependency. I will add the dependency JSON. Here also JSON is required because we need to convert to from string to Java object, right? So I'm going to here checking dependency is already there or not. JSON, Lambo, theme, leaf. No, JSON is not there. So I add JSON, and then what I'll do is I'm going to add this logic, right? I'm going to create product info. Here also we need to create a class where consumer. Here also we need to create a Vivo class. Vivo, new Vivo. Created. Going and then create class Vivo, finish, and then copy these things, data. This is just bean class. It's not a document object. It's not an entity. This is a bean class because we are converting from here also same property we keep in consumer as well. So this data will be converted, right? So whatever we are using this, so whatever the product data, right, product details, this is a entity object. So same thing here, we have the receiver object also, we received product info. So I created in the consumer as well. And then consumer, we will go to consumer service. This is a client service class, service layer. We need to add this method to call this consumer. We will call the producer. We have to call producer, right? So I'm just adding this method to call a producer. Sorry, I will not return this. 1 second. Method name, along with the method name I will copy the method name. I'm just putting method name. Method name is response entity. In response entity it has to return. Category it is passing. So this block I commented why, this is service discovery. Basically it will call the HTTP colon, instead of localhost we need to call it the product service, so that it will call the microservice. So this will look into later when we are covering further session, how we can do the, instead of Eureka discovery, how we can do Kubernetes discovery and how we can give the URL. Now currently I am giving localhost, right? But this should not be the case actually. We should not give the localhost actually. We should give the service name. When we are deploying into Kubernetes or in cloud, we have to give like this. Okay, and so basically normally we are using REST template which we will be using for calling one microservice to another microservice. String class for entity localhost A0, and we will remove this path. We have to give this path and port number. Port number is which port it is running. Producer microservice 8083. So we have to give 8083. We have to give the port number, right? And REST template. I will come to this part. 1 second. So we will be using REST template, right? REST template normally we will use Springboot to call from one microservice to another microservice. We have to use REST template. REST template, and alert auto while, right? So here you put REST template, that's it. Now we are calling this microservice to this consumer microservice to producer microservice, which is calling REST template. Using REST template, we are calling this, and then we have to add the controller. Controller we have already created, home page controller. So controller, I'm going to write. So I'm going to write this logic to controller. So I'm going to create a method like, or here itself we can write call producer microservice. For example, I'm writing the method. So this will call producer microservice. Create void call producer microservice. Okay, so this will, what it will know, we will copy this method This logic I have already written. So yeah, I'm going to integrate in controller. So this is a controller, homepage controller, call producer microservice method, and I'm going to write this logic here. So this logic I just paste it. So response entity, which will return the response, Springboot will return the response entity, and then response entity equal to null. So recent response entity, name is recent response entity. Client service, which is calling the fetching product using category feature products, right? This is feature products. This is recent products. That's why the category name is recent products. This is feature products, right? So response entity, we can use different response entity. Response is recent. This is feature. Features response entity, right? So controller, this will converting into product info, right? So first I will converting into features responsibility. So all feature products, the attributes here, if you see here, we have to pass this home page, right? We have to pass this model view controller. So what we will do is we will return this model view controller here. Return this model view. Okay. So model view will instantiate here. And the view names. What we will do is model view, right? So here you can attribute is feature products. So JSON, we have to integrate JSON, right? Private JSON, JSON auto at I just did auto JSON, and then so here recent product, feature product, both attributes and Java object we are passing after retrieving this JSON. What will do, it will converting the producer response string JSON's response into product info class array, because we have list of JSON string, right? We have list of JSON string. I can show you postman list of JSON string, right? That will be converted into product info array. So that's the array we are keeping here and keeping this anyway is data. So recent product info, feature product we kept it, and then recent products we kept it here, recent products, right? So these both attributes we need to use here, and then we have to use exception handling, surrender try catch block. So we can add inside this. So added, and then return ME model view controller, we are returning that, right? So return, we can add view name is home page view, right? Home page, and I can remove this one, right? So it will call creating the model view object and then calling the producer microservice and get the response, and this is the way we have to set it in the response object. We have to call and get body response, and then we have to keep it into the model view object so that we can enter into the HTML template. So that's the reason. I will show you why we are doing this. And if you go to HTML templates, where are the HTML templates? Here are the HTML templates. If you see home page templates, as I mentioned previous section, only 3 main content. You can go to main content fragment. Main content fragment, if you go here, main content fragment, where we are using recent products and feature product, both page we include as a fragment. Now we go to product, recent product. Let's say we are going to recent product. This recent product fragment, if we see here, I just added multiple code, you can ignore it, but now product info is coming as a array, right? I'm using the array object in the div tag. I'm using th colon each product info recent products. These are recent products, right? This recent product is coming from here. This is the recent products. Recent product. This recent product we are it's array, right? So that's the reason we are using for each rendering. This is kind of for each rendering, assigning into info object product name, and then image URL, and then price. So all the data we are rendering. This is a way we have to render in themed if in Springboot, right? So this is the way we have to render. If we say take feature product, same thing. Go to feature product template, product HTML template, feature product, and same thing we are using for each feature products, and then rendering one by one product info name and like that. Okay, now I'm going to start the service, start the server. Now producer already started. I'm going to start consumer again, right? Consumer microservice I'm going to start. Yeah, now consumer microservices, there is some error. What is error? REST template AutoWare is not working. Okay, you don't need to AutoWare this. What we will do now? Client service, go here. No need to AutoWare. We can instantiate this. Spring. You can use like this. New instantiate. Remove this AutoWare. It's not required. Okay, I just instantiated. I removed AutoWare. AutoWare is not taking. So now I'm restarting again. What is the error? We will see. Now server is starting. Yeah, I think server is started. Right? Product consumer microservice is started, and we have producer microservice also started. There is an exception MongoDB. That's why we can leave it. Anyway, both servers are started. Now I'm going to hit 8081. This URL I'm going to hit. What is happening? The error is coming. Internal error. So what is the error? Error SSL exception. Okay. HTTPS, sorry, the URL is HTTPS. We can use HTTP URL, and we don't need TLS protection. Since it's a demo, we don't need to use that. So I've just removed HTTPS, actually HTTP connection. Okay, if you want to use HTTPS, then we have to use like a different way. We have to follow certificates we have to generate, and then we have to call. Normally we have to use that way only in production environment, but since it's a testing, I'm using HTTP. There should be HTTPS only. The communication should be HTTPS actually. It should not be HTTP. It should be HTTPS actually. So we have to generate a Java key, so certificates, and then we can use self-service certificate in the QA environment, but production environment we have to use the actual certificate. What we are going to use, certificate we have to use, so that it will enable the HTTPS. URL could be HTTP. So it's a TLS protection, right? So normally microservice will not be started in HTTP or HTTPS only. Just for the sake of demo, I added HTTP. Okay, this is the URL. Now I started both actually, consumer microservice and producer microservice. Both are started now. See, both microservice are started. Now I'm going to hit this URL. Let's see. Yeah, now URL is loaded. See, now feature products are coming. See, feature products, solid cotton, but image is not coming. We will fix this. See, recent products also is coming. You see the logs. I think I not printed. Producer logs. If you see, called feature products log. So now both products are coming. See, feature products are displaying, rate, price, and all the data are displaying. Feature products and recent products. The image are not coming, so we will see fix the image issue. We will go to feature products. Localhost, it should be 8.1, right? That's why it's not working. It should be 8.1, and here also should be 8.1. You can remove the you can keep only absolute path. You don't need to have related path. You can give absolute path. Absolute path. Now you can refresh. Yeah, now I'm seeing fixing. See, this is HTTPS actually. It should be HTTP URL. That's why it's not working. And H8081, right? The URL is 8081. Yeah. Now I think it's Dev tool is installed. That's why it's automatically compiled. I think it's not happening. So what we will do? I will go to consumer and start again. Start the server again. Okay. So we will start the server. Okay. Now started. Now let's see how these images are coming or not. Yeah, images are coming. See, now we are seeing recent products, and this is a data issue. Both are coming same data. Could be same data, yeah, these are recent products. These are the feature products. These both data are dynamic data, which are producers are we are calling, consumer is calling producer, and producers are returning this data. This is connecting to MongoDB Atlas and then returning the data. The images are displaying, all the data are displaying. So this is the way, and we can see price and all the data are displaying. Description, name of the products, everything are displaying. So this is the way we have to integrate consumer microservice to producer microservice, calling the producer. This is called, we have integrated to theme leaf libraries, the Springboot theme library, right? So very high level I'm saying, what I'm saying is, so we are using the NoSQL database to store the product details, and then we are connecting the NoSQL database through producer microservice, and then we build a controller will call the producer MongoDB and returning the data, and then producer consumer, I'm going to consumer is calling the already pages are already placed logics. So we just call the controller is calling the service class will call the producer, and producer will return the result. Like home page controller, this is a producer. So this is a logic, client service dot fetch product feature products. Let's say client service is a REST template which is calling this URL. This is a consumer URL, producer URL it is calling, and producer it is going to producer controller. Where is the producer controller? Cloud Academy. Producer controller. If you see producer controller, this is calling this controller. This controller is a get method, taking the path variable as category ID, and then it will call the fetch big category product. It will call the client service API in producer microservice, and then calling the database and returning the result. It is converted to JSON structure. It is converting. So this is what we have done as part of this demo, and so see category ID we are passing. So this is the way we need to integrate consumer and producer, right? Calling one microservice to another microservice. So I hope you guys understand that, and let us move to the next session, and thank you for watching. Okay, we are going to discuss about the exception handling, and then how we can integrate the API monitoring using actuator, how to check the health check for API URLs, and then third thing is circuit breaker, how we can integrate in the consumer microservice while calling to producer microservice, right? So let us go through one by one. Exception handling. So exception handling is nothing but when our consumer microservice is calling to producer microservice will fetch the data from MongoDB. Let's say, for example, MongoDB example product information, and then returning the response to the consumer microservice. Consumer microservice is rendering the response, right? This is a success scenario. Let's say there are some negative scenario. Let's say any error scenario. Let's say consumer is calling producer, but producer is not able to fetch the data due to database exception or any business logical error, or any products, let's say, not found, any kind of products error, product data error, or it could be multiple reasons, right? So in that case we used to handling the exception handling, like in Java we used to say try catch block. So that is a traditional way of exception handling, but when it comes to Spring Boot, we are using, there is concept called controller advice. The controller advice is providing the generic exception handling mechanism in Spring Boot version, Spring Boot 3.2. So whenever we are calling consumer is calling to producer microservice, the exceptions are controlled in single place instead of having caller method everywhere. The exceptions are handling in generic in one place where we can put whichever, because in microservice architecture we will call multiple APIs, multiple microservice we'll call, and so it's very difficult to managing that, right? So it's very difficult to handling the exception handling is a very crucial part in microservice architecture. So this control advert is provide the excellent contribution for handling the exception handling in a generic way. In one place we are handling the exception, so we no need to go there and check in each and every time. We no need to reach the try catch block and writing custom exceptions. Just make it single place. We'll just write the exception in single place, so that it will be easier to maintain in the code. Code will be cleaner way, and the handling exception is also a simpler way, and that's the reason we are using controller advice. The next thing is API health monitoring. Springboot itself is providing the concept called actuator dependency. It's a very simple way of integrating the actuator. If you put the dependency, we can all the APIs health monitoring, we can check whether API is up or down, or how much time it is taking. So all these things can be handled in monitoring, actuator monitoring. So not only API health check, it will provide the circuit breaker when you are integrating. So what is the range of failures are happening, how many failure percentage are happening. So there are multiple things can be monitoring can be handled in actuator, right? The third last thing is circuit breaker. Circuit breaker is a design pattern in microservice. One of the design pattern is in microservice a circuit breaker. Circuit breaker will need to come into picture if there is any error. Let's say microservice A is calling microservice B, but microservice B is not responding. For example, in our scenario, consumer is calling to producer microservice, but producer microservice is not able to respond due to database error or any business logical error or data error. There are multiple reasons, right? So network error, right? So producer microservice, due to that particular error, my producer microservice goes down, but consumer microservice doesn't know whether it's failed or not. It's keep calling. Due to keep calling, when you are calling the service call REST API, it's an expensive process. It's not a simpler way. We need to initiate the connection, and we need to, whenever there is any error, what will happen if it's not able to connect the service, right, producer microservice, what will happen is it will get into the timeout condition. Timeout, it will go to timeout, it will wait the threads, and then it will retry logic. It will retry every 5 seconds or 10 seconds. So it is keep retrying. Let's say 10,000 calls is going and all are failing, it's keep retrying. So memory become full, and it will create stuck thread will cause or blocking the threads, because it will consumer message will keep calling, consumer services keep calling and get into the timeout condition. So threads become full, and then it will create the memory leaks, right? And then consumer microservice goes down. There is a possibility of consumer microservice goes down because memory become full, and it will create a memory leaks and stuck thread. There are multiple things will happen if producer microservice is down and consumer microservice keep calling to producer microservice when producer microservice is not at all responding, right? Whenever any network error or any database error, it obviously it goes down, and it never producer microservice will never respond to that, right? So in order to avoid these kind of things, we are introducing the circuit breaker. Circuit breaker, what will happen is, circuit breaker itself, there are multiple configuration we can do. Circuit breaker, what will happen is, when the consumer microservice is calling to producer microservice, it will wait for it will happen like percentage wise. Let's say 15% or 50% of calls are failure, circuit breaker will open. When the circuit breaker, there are three states: circuit breaker open, hop state, and closed. When the circuit breaker is open means, so it will not never call to producer microservice. What will happen is, it will get into the fallback mechanism. It will call the fallback mechanism, whether it will show the error based on our use cases. It will show the error, or it will call different service, or it will get into the fallback mechanism, right? So that's what circuit breaker will are introducing that. And whenever after 5 minutes or a particular duration, we can call again. Circuit breaker will open half open means it will open, let's say 20%. 20% call will call to consumer, call will make a call to producer. And if 20% success rate is coming, then what will happen is, based on that, let's say producer is up, network issues resolved, so it will call gradually. The circuit breaker will allow consumer microservice to call 20%, like 30% and 50%, and then completely call 100%. Then circuit breaker went to go to closed state. So this is the way circuit breakers will handle the fault tolerance in microservice architecture. When you say fault tolerance, if there is any error, it will not allow to call the producer microservice. Instead of that, it will call the fallback mechanism. And whenever the producer is up, it will gradually increase the traffic to producer microservice. And then once success rate is high, based on that, it will enable the 100% traffic to producer microservice. This is the way of controlling the fault tolerance in microservice architecture, right? So if you see the code, there are multiple configuration we will be doing as part of this circuit breaker. If we see circuit breaker, see there are let's say circuit breaker. When I say circuit breaker, here I just noted the configuration property. These are the configuration for circuit breaker. Resiliency 4G, we will use that in Springboot. Let's say health indicator 2, sliding window 100 seconds, it will be waiting state, and then number of calls is 10%, and sliding type time based is there, and call based failure, or based on the time duration, the slide window will wait for this many seconds, and then it has to enable minimum number of calls 10%, and wait duration state, it has to wait 50 seconds, and failure threshold, right? If failure call is 50%, then enable the circuit breaker. For buffer size, maximum attempts, wait duration. So there are multiple configuration based on our use cases. We can configure the circuit breaker, right? So these are the configuration we can do. These are the basic configuration, but based on the use cases, we can customize the configuration changes, how often the circuit breaker has to open state, and when it has to close, how many percentage of call has to be how many percentage of calls has to be allowed once circuit breaker is failure, and then when it has to open 100% of success rate. So all these things can be configured via configuration property in application.property file, right? This configuration can be done. So let us get into the code changes, how we can integrate it. First, let us going through the exception handling, controller advice, then we will go to integrating the API, health monitoring, and then circuit breaker, right? Thank you guys for listening. We will get into the demo now, code changes, right? We will see the code changes and what are the now yeah, we are going to implement controller advice in Springboot 3.0. we are going to integrate, right? So first what we need to do is we can go here. I already noted that create Cloud4 controller advice. First create the exception. Okay, what are the exception we are going to handle? Let's say product not found exception, right? We are customizing the exception class. We are going here producer microservice, because producer microservice is fetching the product details, right? So here only we have to integrate our exception handling, right? So go here, create a folder called exception, and then create a exception class product not found exception. You can extend the base class exception, okay, we extract, and then what are the methods in it? So constructor we have to place it, right? So let's say product not found string id, not able to fetch the product details. Another way is 2 parameter string product id not due to database exception, not able to fetch product details, product list, for example product list, database exception message you are giving. So there are two methods, two constructors. One is single argument constructor, another is two argument constructor. Product, let's say ID of the product and then error message. So this message will go to the controller advice, the generic exception framework, and where we can handle this exception. So if I want to create another exception like MongoDB exception, any database exception, we will create one more exception called MongoDB exception class, MongoDB exception, and this also extends the superclass, extends exception. Okay, and then go here. Only one constructor I am adding, that is called this is the ID and then error, MongoDB connection error, error.get message. That's it, right? So now two exception class I have customized, right? So now I am going to create a class called controller advice. So the framework I am going to create controller advice class I am going to create. Here create class name cloud controller advisor that has to extend a response entity exception handler. Extends response entity exception handler, we have to extend that. Once we extend that, then we have to annotation. This class is a controller advice, right? So we have to annotate like add controller advice, annotate. So now whenever the exception product not found exception or MongoDB exception happen, it will directly come to here, this class it will come and it will capture the exception. So first exception is product not found exception. So we have to annotate like this. First we have to entity response entity, product handle product not found exception, method can be anything, and then web request, and then we have to annotate the exception handler. What is exception name? Product is not found exception, right? Exception handler. And map, we have to add the map. So here linked dash map. And then we have local time, what time the exception happened, what is the error message, what is the status code. So this will go to called method. Let's say we have a this will go to our caller method. This consumer microservice, when it is calling this listing, and it will give the error. Now clearly stating that response entity is here. This will go to the consumer. This is a response subject which contains the map. We will create a map object, and then in the map object we have to give the timestamp, what time the error happened, what message, and then status code. This is a body message, this is a status code we are sending. When you are calling the REST API, right, this response will go to consumer response whenever there is any error happen, response entity. And the exception name is product not found exception, web request. Sorry, I just maximize this, right? So we have to annotate the exception handler, product not found exception. Like that we can annotate the MongoDB exception, because another exception is MongoDB, right? So we have to connect like this. Enter. Now exception MongoDB exception. Handle method could be anything, but exception class we have to write. And request, this web request we can put it. And the same way you have to create a map object, and then body called name is what, timestamp message, and exception failed exception. Now whenever there is any exceptions happen, product not found exception or MongoDB exception, it will come here, it will log that, it will build the response object and send it to that. So this is centralized. So this place, whichever exception message or any response structure we want to change, we can build it here. No need to build every caller method. Wherever we want, we can directly, we can customize the message, what response structure has to go, we can put to interfaces, centralize this message here, right? So now I have done it, right? Now we have to throw the exception. So let's say I'm going to product microservice client service call. This is the class which is fetching the product details based on the category. It's fetching the product details in MongoDB. Let's say categories we are passing, the product detail is empty. If product detail is empty, we are finding the default category that we don't want. We will remove it. Instead of that, I'm throws new product not found exception. Product not found exception. For example, here I am giving the category ID. Which category it will do. So here also throws we have to put. Throws product not found exception. If any runtime exception, it will automatically go there. But since it's a checked exception, we have to throw that explicitly. Wherever the business logic or database logic is written, we have to throw that. We have to throw like this. Then only it will throw that, right? It will throw this error product. We can write based on our use cases. We can customize. We can throw the exceptions, right? Based on that. I'm just sample. I'm writing product exception. Whenever product list is empty, for that category, I'm returning the product not found exception. Now I have done it, right? So now I'm going to there is error. We'll see what is error. The error is coming here. For example, we will throws product not found exception, right? So this exception will go. The error message. This method is called from the consumer microservice. So whenever this is the method which is calling the product page controller, this is the controller is calling this method. Whenever there is error is happening, this is a consumer microservice, right? So product microservice, whenever error is happening, what will throws product exception, it will come to here centralized this exception whenever happen, product not found exception, it will come here. It will call this method error exception coming controller advisor, and it will throw this response object. Okay, clear, right? So first what I created the exception, and then I went to the controller advice, centralize the exception class where we are the response structure, and then going to service class, throwing the exception, and controller is also throw the exception. And this is a calling class. When you are calling, it has to throw the error message, right? Now I'm going to start the consumer microservice. I started. I'm going to start the producer microservice as well, which will fetch the product details, right? So now both microservices are started successfully, right? Now I'm going to call consumer microservice. What is the consumer microservice IP address? Once again we will see here 8081. Okay, now http localhost 808. I'm calling. Now the consumer microservice is loaded. There is error. 8081. 8081. Now consumer microservice is loaded. So this is a consumer microservice. These are all the images are displaying. This is dynamic content, feature product, right? These also feature products, right? Now data is fine, so it is coming. Let's say I'm going to do the code changes. I cannot do it from UI, so I'm going to directly code changes. What we are passing is category. Category we are passing woman category, so feature category, right? So where is the controller here? Consumer microservice. I'm going to consumer microservice home page controller. Yeah, now if you see the product microservice, we have product microservice, right? So the producer microservice return the product detail, feature product. This is recent products. Now I am passing the feature products and recent products some wrong the category ID. So what did do? It should throw the error. These are recent products. I'm saying 1, 2, 3. Feature product also I'm passing 1, 2, 3. Right? I'm passing 1, 2, 3. Now I saved it. So since I used dev tool, it's automatically compiled. Now I'm just entering this. Now error is happening. See, because the error we are not handling the UI. That's why this error is coming. If you see here, timestamp not found 404 error, and then message not able to fetch product details feature 1, 2, 3. This category it is saying not able to fetch the product details. We can, so this is error message is coming from this class, this controller advisor. This is the error message and not able to found. So this is a message are throwing from this class, not able to fetch product database exception, message error ID. So So this message is capturing here and returning to the consumer when they're calling the error. So if you want to wrap this exception, we can handle this exception and we can show to the UI with a meaningful message, right? Like there are products are not found, something like that. We can do that. It's not a big deal. We can go to the if you see home page controller here, we have to, instead of dry catch plug, right? We have to add view home page. We have to add the view home page. I'm using logger. Let's say we are using logger dot error message. So since I'm using trace, it is giving entire log trace. That's not the correct way. I'm giving e dot get message. Okay, so if I want to, let's say no, don't error page, it will not go. It will, you can see you can put here, and any message if you want to display, we can display the UI. I'm going to copy this and put this one. Yeah, now I'm going to I restarted, so I'm going to here home page. Now page is displaying, but it will not break the page, right, due to the exception. See, the feature product is empty, recent product empty. Here we can display the message. There are no feature products, there are no recent products, something you can display message that we can do. Now if you go here, you can see the error message. See, now it will not print the trace like this. Instead of that, it will print the message, exception message. See, this is exception message, error message 404, error message 404, HTTP status code, timestamp, and then not able to fetch the product details for feature 123, right? So this is how the exception handling we can do in Springboot, right, using controller advice. Okay, so now I'm going to change this 123. I'm removing, so otherwise it will not come, right? So I'm just doing that so that it will work. So that now it will come. If I click refresh that, now see, both pages are coming. See, this feature products, recent products, and both are coming. Okay, now we are going to integrate how we could I'm stopping to server. Now we are going to integrate the this one, circuit breaker. How we can integrate the circuit breaker? Okay, I'm going to first circuit breaker. In order to integrate circuit breaker, these three dependency we need to put. These three: actuator, starter, circuit breaker, resiliency 4J, and then starter AOP. These three dependency we have to add for the circuit breaker in Springboot 3.2 version, right? I'm going to integrate in consumer, because consumer is the one which is calling to producer microservice, right? Now I'm going to place the dependency. What are the dependency? One is Springboot actuator, and another one is circuit breaker resiliency 4J, and another one is Springboot starter AOP. These three dependency we have to integrate it. Now I integrated dependency changes, I added. Now I'm going to add this resiliency. These are the configuration for circuit breaker. So based on our use cases, we can configure the different configuration. We can change the configuration. Now I have added, just for a testing, I have added this configuration. So if you go there application or property, we have to add this configuration. Consumer microservice. See, register health indicator, sliding window, how long it has to be wait, 100 seconds. And when it has to open state, when it has to circuit breaker, how many percentage of failure, percentage it has to open, and sliding window type, time based or call based, minimum number of calls. This I explained in the previous session. So same things you can see these are the changes we have to do. Okay, once we done that, and then we have to do the code changes. Code changes, what we have to do? We have to create a fallback method. Go to consumer class. Where is the service layer? We have to integrate client service, right? So this is a place we are calling the producer microservice for fetching the product details. Let's say response entity is a response, subject is a Springboot, fallback API error method name, and category. I'm giving category. What is the category? And exception. Here fallback called circuit breaker starter, and then logger. Logger is not integrated. That's why error message is coming. No issue. We can put the logger. I call the logger here. Go here and client service I've added. Now I'm just going here, status code, it's fine. Now I have added this test template and response entity, so both I have added, right? So this fallback methods I have created. So return type is response is status code, and this error code it will go. If there is any error, it will call this. Now it will call this method if suppose the service is down or any error is happening, network error, producer microservice, any errors, database error, due to that service is down, then it is going to fall back, it is showing the error message, right? So that's it. This is a very simple configuration, right? And then we have to, let's say we have to add the AP error, this, so we have to display the error message, right? For that what I am doing is I'm going to consumer home page controller. Whenever there is any error is coming, so we can put it here like this, API error. So for example, let's say I'm going to start the consumer microservice. I'm going to start only consumer microservice, right? Now I'm just starting the consumer microservice. Consumer microservice is started. Now producer microservice I have not started, right? We can see here only consumer is started. Sorry, only consumer microservice is started. There is some error is happening. You see, it's not compatible with the Springboot release. So it's saying this 3.2.4 is not compatible version it is telling. Let's say we will change the version here. 3.2.0 we will try. Zero version we will put. Sorry, I think I wrongly put it. Here I have to put 3.2.0 we will put. If it is not working, we will put 1.0. No problem. Let us see what will happen. I'm just starting the server again. Yeah, now 3.2.0 version I think should be fine. Now it's fine, right? No, still is error. So 3.1 we will put 1.0 because we have to put the right compatibility version, otherwise it will throw the error. So I'm going here, start the consumer again. 3.1 version, maybe 3.2 we can use a different version, but I am using 3.2.0. This version we may change actually. 3.0.1, sorry, here 3.1, that's the reason we have to use 3.1.0. Now this version is working, 0.1. Now circuit breaker. Now I am starting the consumer microservice. Let's go to different page, close this page, open, enter. Now I'm entering, let's say 80. What is happening? There is some error. 8080, sorry, it is starting 8080. Yeah, the application state error, there is the exception is happening. What is the error? Yeah, there is error we captured. The error due to we have not handled the exception properly. Only the annotation we have missed. So we need to use a circuit breaker annotation, right? Whenever we are doing that, we have to add the circuit breaker annotation. Circuit breaker annotation is required because the fallback mechanism, which circuit breaker name equal to anything we can give, and the fallback method name, this is a method name we have to give, fallback method error. So we have to give this name here, fallback method error, and retry, how often it has to retry the circuit breaker, that you can give or you can remove that, because the retry configuration you already given as part of the circuit breaker configuration, right? So this is the main changes in the code level changes we have to do, and what is the fallback method we have to give, and what is the argument type, category. Here is category, so and exception, and the status code it will return, right? Now I go to the controller, homepage controller. I have already written, if the response entity not equal to null and response in status code equal to 404, that this is what the returning, this fallback method returning 404 error, right? 404 code. So we have to check here if error is 404, not found 404. Then API true, this is UI for this UI we are adding this attribute error equal true, then home page. If you are going and seeing this UI, right, so recent product UI, we added this API true and this attribute circuit breaker is down, right? So API error home page template. So this is what the fallback scenario. If a service is down, it will check the fallback what error is coming. Based on the use cases, we can write a different fallback logic. Just for returning the error message, I have written it, right? So if I, so this is what we have to do. So first we have to annotation, and we have to annotation, and then this method is calling. Now I'm going to start the service. I'm stop all the services, circuit break. I'm starting only consumer service. I not started the producer service. Okay, now we'll see. And also I have commented out here in producer this what is this exception handling, otherwise the exceptions will go as a result, right? So I just comment out this new controller advice logic, so because we want to test the circuit breaker, right? So just I commented out this error, throw error. So now circuit breaker, now I added. Now I'm going to enter http :localhost, what's the port number, 8081, entering that. See, now page is loaded consumer. See, circuit breaker is on. Please wait for few seconds because its circuit breaker is on, just so this error is coming, right? Now I'm going to start the producer microservice, right? I'm going to start the producer microservice. If I start the producer microservice, this error will be gone. I started the producer microservice. I start the producer microservice. Now if I go here, I enter that. Now the circuit breaker error will be gone. See, now it is showing the recent products from the producer microservice, which is written the fetching the product details from MongoDB, and then it is displaying. So circuit breaker is released because there is no error, service is not down. Okay, so this is how we have to integrate the circuit breaker. So circuit breaker, first what changes we have to do? First we will go to the property file, and so consumer property file, application.property. So this is the main changes. Resiliency 4G we have to integrate. So this is a configuration, and this is a pom.xml. These three dependency we have to put: AOP, resiliency 4G, actuator. These three things we have to integrate. These three we have to integrate, and code changes, very small code changes. We have to go to the calling class, and where is a calling class? Service name, calling class. So circuit breaker is annotation, circuit breaker name equal to circuit breaker, fallback method name is, this is a fallback method name we have to put, and the argument has to be category. What is category? Exception. So this will return anything. So based on our use cases, we can write the different fallback logic, right? So these are the things we have to integrate as part of the circuit breaker in Springboot 3.2. I am using 3.1.0 because I used here the version is 3.0.1, the circuit breaker version. So you can use based on our version. So this is how we have to integrate the circuit breaker, right? And now I'm going to discuss about the actuator. Actuator is a monitoring tool which we can integrate. Simple configuration, just go to here and just place this actuator. Problem. So we have configured actuator like this way, just adding the dependency like Springboot starter actuator, and then we can directly go to, we can start the consumer is already started. You can go to the endpoint URLs like see actuator health, and you can check all the monitoring, all the URLs, metrics. If you hit that, it will show the metrics of circuit breaker state and circuit breaker expired. So all the things we can do in actuator. Just start with the actuator. If you want health, you can check ID health. You can remove one slash and then health. See, server is up. So like that we can integrate with the UI and we can get the nice visualization. So this is just I'm showing for the demo purpose. I'm just accessing the URLs. Actuator. These are the endpoints. Like if you want to access info, it will give some URLs. It will give info. If you access info, where we can see info, nothing is there, and we'll go there and accessing other endpoints like like metrics. Metrics you can access. There are a couple of endpoints are there we can use to see. These are the metrics, you can see that. And so if I want to say thread dump analysis, we can do here. We can just add the thread dumps. It will show the thread dump analyzer. So like that, JVM thread dump analyzing. So we can do multiple things in Springboot actuator, right? So this is very easy to integrate Springboot actuator, and then we can integrate any other tool and we can do our analysis. Thank you guys for listening part 1 Springboot, and let us get into part 2 very soon, right? Thank you.